Now that's the right way to start your day. So yesterday I wanted to do a time lapse of the sky, but there were no clouds. Just came outside with the dogs. There's clouds today, so we're gonna give it a shot. Well, I didn't get to run the time lapse for as long as I wanted to because it's like 94 degrees outside. I was worried for the dogs who were super hot and panting. I was worried for the camera. I was worried for myself. It's a little too hot to let it run for a while. So we'll see how it came out. It's probably gonna be short, but I'm sure the pictures came out nice. Hey! I'm sure the pictures came out okay. I just don't know if there's enough of them to be like a good time lapse. To take a look. It's about 5 o'clock now. I spent the past 2 hours or so, maybe a little bit longer, really heads down working on a couple of different marketing activities and stuff. I don't think it's something I've spoken about on the vlog before, but I do work with a couple of companies in helping to build marketing strategies, build marketing content, help with the distribution and the analytics of that content, the follow through to ensure that the marketing strategy aligns to whatever the particular company product or service or mission is. And it's been going really well. I really enjoy the whole world of marketing. I think I've done a really good job in building a brand, not only for myself but for Selfless and a few others that I've kind of been helping behind the scenes that most people don't know about. It's been pretty good. So I'm going to continue with a little bit of that. I've got to finalize the email and the way I want to frame all of it, and make sure it's all documented appropriately and shipped over. And I'm hoping that I'll have at least a little bit of time to get a stream in. Looking forward to that, hoping to get some more Lucio action. I had a really good time playing last night up until, catching the people throwing matches, which still just makes no sense to me why someone would intentionally be a loser. But different strokes, different folks. So I spent the majority of the afternoon working on more strategic, bigger picture kind of things for an organization that I work with to help them out on some of their marketing efforts. And it's really enjoyable for me to kind of switch the hat that I'm wearing based on the project or the group I'm helping or consulting with, or the internal stuff we're doing at Selfless, to go from like very ground level things of very practical, write the ad, write the creative, to very bigger picture, here's the strategy, here's kind of what the brand should encompass or what the message should resonate, and in the way that the brand and the organization presents itself to the world. It's really fun for me to go back and forth between those two because they're kind of polar opposites in a lot of ways. And today was a lot more so the bigger picture, kind of future looking things, which is really enjoyable. But then mixed into it, obviously, some of the supporting tactics of here's the strategy, here's the big vision, here's the direction that I think it should go, and here's the ways that we can kind of execute against that to get it there. I also spent a little bit of time just now. I know that to a lot of people I come off as like motivational or whatever. I get that a lot on Twitter based on some of the articles I've written and some of the videos that I've recorded in the past. But I, in myself, every now and then need to find a little bit of extra motivation, or like to be inspired by certain pieces of content or videos or topics. And I found a TED Talk that just really hit home some of the things that I know, some of the things about myself, and some of the things that my level of self-awareness recognizes. And one of those big ones is that I tend to go from one topic to another. I learn lightning fast, and so I go heavy into one topic, learn it, I get better by far than the average person. And then I sort of slow down and get a little bit bored, and then I kind of have to move on to the next thing. Which, owning an organization is very conducive to that type of arrangement, where I go from one day working on this thing to the next day working on something completely different, but with a longer term vision of where I want it to go or what I want it to look like. They had a different term for it. I've heard Renaissance Man, I've heard polymath. The term that they used was multi-potentialite. Doesn't really answer the question of like how you make that a long-term career, but it definitely resonated with me. It's good to know that the struggle that I've had for the past maybe 8-10 years of my life of like trying to figure out like what's the one thing I'm supposed to be doing. I think the answer is there's not one thing I'm supposed to be doing. So now it's just a way of figuring out how to monetize the things that I can do. My previous career was in technology, and one of the reasons that it held me for so long is there was so much to learn. And I learned networking, and I learned server administration, and I learned storage, and I learned virtualization, and application and desktop virtualization, and application and desktop delivery, and overall architecture and security. And I went from one topic to the next topic until I became near expert level in most, if not all of them, with the exception being actual development. I can interact with an API and write very basic scripts, but that was the end of it. But it made so much sense to me as to why that area of expertise held me for as long as it did. And now, marketing is something that I've absolutely loved, and I've spent a lot of my time in, and building brands is super enjoyable to me, and helping brands with that. It's also just what you're watching right now. The fact that I've recorded videos, I think, for 17 or 18 days straight, and I'm learning the process of editing video. That's an example of one of those things that I didn't know anything about, picked it up, and now I feel pretty comfortable with at least the basics. And I plan to extend that for as long as I can and continue as long as it's enjoyable and it kind of continues to maintain my interest. I already have an idea of what the next thing I'm going to go learn is, and it's going to be more of the Photoshop, graphic design, images and stuff, because most of what I would like to do is fairly basic. But if I can service that all myself, then I become, that extra level of threat. That extra capability allows me to go to a potential customer or a client or a player or a brand and know that what I can deliver for them is leaps and bounds above what the next guy can. The video I watched was a TED Talk, so I'm curious to know if there's a single TED Talk that has had the greatest impact in your life, and that could be either inspiring you to change something or motivating you to go and do something or stop doing something, what that video is. And would love it if you could share it here on Twitter or here on YouTube in the comment section. Would really like to know that. Feel very grateful that was the piece of content that I saw on Twitter. They were promoting this one thing. I clicked it. I actually didn't consume the one thing that it had intended to, but the particular person's point of view was interesting enough that I kind of went off on a tangent and ended up finding the video that way. It didn't solve anything for me, but it brought a different way of thinking of things. A different level of appreciation, and the fact that there are other people that have struggled with the same things that I have is a really cool thing for me. It's good to know that, I know I'm not alone out there, but this just reinforced the fact that I'm not alone. All that being said, I'm probably going to play a little bit of Overwatch and just kind of let some of the things that I'm thinking about just sit in the back of my head and kind of percolate a little bit. Come back to it probably first thing in the morning. I've got to finish one or two things here real quick, and then I'll probably play a little bit of Overwatch, stream for a while, and see how I feel. Made it to Grandmaster again. Wall, so careful what you peek here. Where's the telly?
Watch out, hog on your left, hog on your left.
I'm a man on a mission.
Hard carry.
Stay out of my way.
Hard carry is real.
It's a soldier.
No, I probably didn't even take the TP, dude. That's my bad.
So I'm still one charge.
Got him.
Zone ticket, bro?
Dude, I have no idea what just happened there, but it worked. Dude, I had like 18 HP and I went through 3 people on their team. And I went through the monkey, through the bubble with like 20 HP and nothing hit me. I don't know how it happened. So all in all, not a bad day. Tomorrow I think is going to be a little bit more ground level type activity. Today was a little bit more kind of pie in the sky, head in the clouds. Oh, hey, Eli. What are you doing? And here he is. So sometimes when I'm trying to record content, there's a dog that wants attention. That actively is yawning in my face. Hey, buddy. So yeah, made it to Grandmaster again. had a pretty good day overall. I think tomorrow's going to be a little bit more kind of back to ground level than today was, but overall not a bad day. I had a really interesting idea for a marketing campaign that one of these eye tracking companies or product manufacturers could do. I'm going to put some more thought into that and probably pitch that, maybe via video, maybe via text, but I got to do a little bit more research to see who's still in that market, because I think there's some cool things that can be done there. And yeah, maybe pitch somebody a free marketing campaign and see what they do with it. What do you think of that, Eli? That's a good way to send it off.